in a sense, by the middle of Meditation 2, Descartes has already finished his goal. He's found himself one absolutely firm, solid belief to use as a foundation. He knows one thing for sure. He exists. That's great. Cool. Is he done? No. The downside is, how on earth do you use just the fact that you exist as a foundation to know anything else? Remember, he doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know what he is, he doesn't know where, when, how, etc. Just existing doesn't mean being human, doesn't mean having a body, anything like that. So he needs to rebuild everything else he knows from one belief: I exist. Well, first of all, it's important to note that Descartes seems to suggest that he only knows one thing. If you think about it, he knows two things. One, he's thinking. We talked about this one. And two, because he knows he's thinking, he knows he exists. So he's got two beliefs already. This is way better than just one. So what does he know about himself? Well, he knows that he's a thing that thinks, right? Existing means being a thing, roughly. And thinking, that thing thinks. So what is a thinking thing? He needs to go from here. This is all he knows about himself, is I am a thinking thing. Well, what kinds of things think, he wonders. Do bodies think? Well, no. And he knows this, right, because it's not certain that he has one yet. Right, if you needed a body to do this thinking, then he would have a body, and he's not sure about this. Right, the modern philosophy of mind and modern neuroscience and biochemistry might disagree with him here, but Descartes' going to say, do you need a body to think? Well, no. It must be the mind or the soul doing the thinking, and Descartes' going to use the terms like mind and soul pretty interchangeably. So a thinking thing is a mind or a soul. We'll use soul pretty much consistently from here, just for brevity's sake. Well, let's figure out what we can about the distinction between bodies and souls. He knows that Descartes knows that he's certain about his soul, right? His thing, the thing that he is, must be a soul. He's certain about that because he's thinking, and the soul and the mind, right, they're interchangeable. That's what you need to think. So the soul must be more essential to who he is than his body, because he's already sure that he has a soul, just from the very basic level, and he's not sure about a body yet. He's going to say that having a soul is inseparable from existence. To be a thinking thing means to have a soul. It doesn't necessarily mean to have a body. So why do we think, he wonders, why do we think it's so much easier to know about bodies than to know about souls, right? We think that it's really easy to figure out stuff about bodies. He's going to look at a ball of wax to try and answer this question. So he's got this little ball of wax, and it's got, a certain, it's wax like taken from a bee's honeycomb. So it's got a certain color, a certain shape, a certain taste, a certain smell, etc. And so we want to say, well, that, those things are its nature. And here we're sort of hearkening back to Socrates and Plato looking at, trying to find something's nature. But it can't be that all of these little descriptive things about the physical wax are its nature, he's going to say. Because if he melts the wax, it changes color, it changes shape, it changes smell, all of these things. But it's still wax, right? It's changed all of its properties, but it's still the same wax. So what is the wax's nature? Descartes' going to say, well, that nature is something we can only grasp with the mind, right? I can think about it and I can intuit, or I can use my logic to figure out this is the same wax. But none of the physical properties here dictate necessarily that the wax must be the exact same. The same is going to be true of the body then. That we think we can know all sorts of things about the body, but that's sort of deceptive, right? What we really need to worry about are essences, and these things are non-physical. Essences for Descartes are they're not physical things. They're for people, they're souls. For the wax, they're something else. This is a position called Cartesian dualism, and we're going to leave off for this week with this point. So Descartes has this view called Cartesian. Cartesian means, coming from Descartes, dualism. And dualism, you can see the root word dual there means two. We have two things. We have a soul, it's the immaterial part, and it's our essence. We have a body too, and it's the physical part. Souls are more important, right? They're inseparable from existence, and they control the body. We haven't proven this yet, right? This will come a little bit later on in the meditations that we're going to read for next week. But this is a really big deal. This is the first time this idea shows up in this form, is with Descartes, and it's an idea that's argued about quite a lot today. So we'll see in the meditations next week. We'll talk some more about dualism, and we'll also see more of Descartes' thoughts about God and how he relates to the conundrum Descartes has. Right? Remember, he's still, he knows he's got a soul now, but he's still got a long way to go until he can have all of his beliefs back. So we'll have to wait till next week to see the thrilling conclusion, and I hope that you'll have plenty to talk about with Descartes until then.